In a world of family feuds, her dad's posthumous mic drop proved that even from beyond the grave, he was the real MVP. While her sister was busy deflating tires, Dad's legacy inflated her integrity. Her sister got pregnant with her ex, and the family supported her and threatened her to give up her share of the inheritance. Her sister got knocked up by her loser ex. That's the truth, and it couldn't have been said any better. Her ex, a 26-year-old man, and she, a 24-year-old young girl, had dated for 2 years. After that, she introduced him to her family, her parents, 19-year-old sister, and 15-year-old younger brother. 5 months later, she discovered he was cheating on her and had knocked up her sister. She was shattered. It was like a bunch of arrows thrown at her from all directions. She had been cheated on, and that man was going to marry her sister. She was going to bump into him for the rest of her life. For context, her ex and she had been in the same college. He was a senior when they started going out, while she was a freshman. He had dropped out earlier to help his dad set up his business, but rejoined when things got better. After 2 years of dating and 4 years of knowing each other, she took him home. It was all happy and fun. They spent the night in her hometown. They went out to a local bar with her siblings. She hadn't noticed anything wrong between her sister and her ex. That was 2 years ago. Her sister was 17 then. They came back the next day and everything remained normal. Her ex and she weren't living together. He was living with his brother, while she lived with her college friend. That was better than living with her ex because his work involved travel. He also used to travel to his hometown often to oversee his dad's business. She told her parents about the betrayal and they freaked out. Her mom slapped Rosie hard on her face. Rosie had always been a troublemaker. She dropped out of school at 14, ran away from home twice at 15, and now got knocked up by her sister's boyfriend at 17. She hadn't told their parents yet, but when they found out, they immediately took her for a scan. It turned out she was 7 weeks pregnant. She confessed that her ex used to travel 2 or 3 times a month to meet her, and they used to spend the night at a hotel. The cheating broke her soul. First, she was cheated on by 2 very important people in her life. Second, she was in a serious relationship with her ex. She had never had a boyfriend before. She was quite a studious, boring girl. While her academics benefited her in many ways, like a full ride at university, it deprived her of a social life. While she was still processing her heartbreak, her mom told her they were planning a wedding for her sister and her ex. This was another blow to her. She yelled at her mom, saying that she was still supporting her. Her mom said, "No matter what, we're not going to abandon her in this condition, and we'll be doing everything to cover up her mess." She rolled her eyes and asked her mom to leave her alone. Her mom said, "I know it hurts you, sweetie, but do we have any other option? We can't get rid of the baby. It's a sin. We can't let the baby grow up as a bastard, can we? We have to get them married. I've spoken to his parents, and they're flying down this weekend. She's yet to show, so we can have it in the church instead of a hush-hush city hall wedding." She stood up and started packing her stuff to leave. She couldn't just stand there and take all the BS they were putting up. Her mom stopped her and said, "You can't leave. It's your only sister's wedding." She was furious. How could her mom even ask her to attend that wedding? The person who slept with her boyfriend. Her mom said, "That was in the past. In the present situation, she's your sister and you have to attend her wedding because we don't want to answer people who question your absence." She was like, "Really, Mom? Your teenage daughter got knocked up by her elder sister's boyfriend, and you're worried that people are going to question my absence at her wedding. You need to align your priorities." Her mom said she didn't understand these complexities. In her eyes, her ex was now her sister's would-be husband, the father of her child, and her brother-in-law. What is the F? It made her sick to the guts. She said, "I'm not going to give in to her pressure, and I'm leaving." Her mom called up her dad and asked him to rush home and knock some sense into her. She was about to leave before her dad arrived. She said, "If I leave, you're going to abandon me, and I should never show my face to them, even if they die." She said, "Sure. If you're going to support your low-life daughter over me, then I'm cutting you all off for my life too, and you should never contact me either." On the wedding day, a lot of friends and family called and texted her, asking why she didn't show up at her sister's wedding. She didn't answer any of the calls. One of her cousins, who was close to her, told her that her parents, especially her mom, told everyone that she didn't attend the wedding because she was jealous that her younger sister was getting married while she was still single. Her blood boiled on hearing this. It was quite unusual for her. She went to Facebook and wrote a detailed post describing how her sister got knocked up by her boyfriend and how her parents were getting them married to cover everything up. She attached her pictures with her ex in the post to prove her point. Her phone blew up after that. Her parents sent her threatening messages to take down the post. She took it down, but after a week they said she brought shame to their house. To cover one lie, they said another lie, that she made a false allegation out of jealousy because her ex found her sister more attractive and fell in love with her. Could you imagine the level of toxicity? She swore to never see their effing face again in life. That was 2 years ago, and since then she's been no contact with them. She's in touch with her brother, though. He contacted her after that and said sorry for not standing up for her. She told him it was fine. He was 13 then. He told her that her parents had put on a fancy wedding for her sister from their savings. They had even helped them settle down in the adjacent block. Her mom babysits for her son while she roams about with her friends. Yesterday, her brother called her out of the blue. She was in a meeting, but she rushed out to take it. They talk over chats and hardly on calls, so this had to be urgent. He told her that her dad had passed away. She was distraught. She hung up the call and took the first flight to her hometown. She came here, but she didn't know where to go. Her mom had asked everyone not to inform her because she didn't deserve to attend his last rites. She was still holding up the grudge against her. She checked into a hotel because she could not go home to her cruel mother. Her brother told her that the funeral date was yet to be decided, but it was mostly tomorrow or the day after. She hadn't told anyone that she was there. She didn't know if she should visit her house or not. I mean, her family was still bitter about her, given her situation. What do you guys suggest? Nothing says family values like sweeping scandal under the rug faster than a cheetah on Red Bull. And then there's your mom, playing the part of the drama queen, casting you as the villain in her little soap opera fantasy. I mean, seriously, accusing you of jealousy. It's like blaming a firefighter for starting the fire. But hey, kudos to you for dropping that truth bomb on Facebook. Sometimes you've got to fight toxic with toxic. And right, as for your parents' threats, well, it sounds like they're more worried about their precious reputation than actually facing the truth. Now, about your dad passing away, that's a tough one. On one hand, you probably want to pay your respects and say your final goodbyes. On the other hand, walking back into that viper's nest of a household might not be the healthiest move for your sanity. But hey, you've got your brother on your side, and that's something. Maybe you two can stick together and weather the storm, one dysfunctional family moment at a time. As for visiting your house, well, let's just say if you do, bring a hazmat suit for all the toxic vibes floating around. But hey, you do you. Just remember, sometimes the best revenge is living well, far away from all that craziness. Update 1. Thanks for all the support. She felt so relieved to talk to you guys on DM. Some of you commented that she was scared that her family would gang up against her, and that's why she wasn't going. You guys were right. She was apprehensive that they would knock her out. She couldn't fight them if they ganged up. And obviously, she didn't want to put up a fight in front of her father's dead body. Somehow, she gained the courage and told her brother that she was in town. He insisted that she attend the funeral and that he would be there for her if something of that sort happened. She said thanks for the protection, but she thought she could manage. She didn't do anything wrong that she needed to hide, so she showed up at the funeral. Her brother was waiting for her. They hugged each other and cried. Her mother and sister gave her looks. Her sister yelled at her brother. "Why did you call her?" He yelled back. "He was all of us. Dad and I had the right to attend the funeral." Their point was that if she had sworn to cut them off from her life, then she shouldn't be allowed to attend his funeral. Her sister almost chased her out, but her uncle and her brother stood up for her. She saw her ex standing in the corner, holding his son and watching the drama. Her dad might not have been the best person out there, yet he was her dad, and watching him lifeless was the most emotional moment of her life. She broke down, but no one except her brother was there to console her. She was about to leave after the funeral when her dad's lawyer told her to visit his office the next day for the will reading. She said she wasn't interested, given her past relationship with her family. She wasn't hoping for any good from his will. He said her dad left her a letter which got her curious, and she decided to stay. The next day, she showed up at the attorney's office with her brother. Her mother came charging at her, asking why she was there and asking her to leave. They called her names and said she was just there for her dad's money. She said she didn't need the money. Her dad had left her a letter. She was there to collect it. They could keep the money. Her mom said she knew what was in that letter. He wanted to tell you that he was disowning you. He hated you for shaming the family publicly. She cursed herself for showing up just to get humiliated. Thankfully, the attorney came and relieved her of their taunts. He started reading the will, which her dad had modified last year. The house in which they lived was always in her mom's name, so she got to keep it. His savings and insurance money went to her mom for her survival and the retirement house. Besides that, he had invested in a trust fund and divided it between the three of them. He also mentioned the reason behind the division. Her sister's son got 10%, and her sister got 20% because he funded her wedding and paid for their house lease. Her brother got 30% for his university. The remaining 40% came to her. That was a shocker for everyone, including her. The reason he mentioned was that he didn't fund her education. She got a complete scholarship from the university. After she got the job, she helped him pay the house mortgage for over 2 years. Hey, pause for a moment. Would you care to support us? Like this video and subscribe for more. Now let's dive back into the story. Her sister flipped out that she got double her share, though her father mentioned the reasons very clearly. She said it was unfair. She repeatedly asked the lawyer if it was the updated one because her dad wanted to disown her. The lawyer said that her dad had left a letter for her, which he wanted him to read in front of everyone. The letter read, "Dad was proud of you that you were able to make such a good career for yourself, and that he never had to worry about you. He said he was sorry for not standing up for you and giving in to Mom's pressure and manipulation. He mentioned a few other moments of your childhood and growing up that he cherished. He asked you to take care of your brother. He said he wished to post this letter himself, but he didn't know your address. He hopes to talk to you before you get to read this letter, and he tells you everything in person." She had read that letter at least 100 times after that day, and it still made her tear up as she wrote this. Her sister and ex left the room midway when the letter was read. Her mom remained there and cried. She cried like a toddler, hugging her baby brother. She had the return flight in the evening, but her brother insisted she stay. So she had been there for a week now, meeting her brother over brunch and dinner. They just talked and caught up about life and random things. He was finishing high school this year and planning on moving out for grad school. Honestly, she was worried about him. After she was gone, her mother and sister might target him for supporting her. But he said he was grown up to handle any crap they threw. She was going back tomorrow. She would update if anything developed. Else, this was the end. Looks like Daddy Dearest had a few secrets up his sleeve, huh? First off, props to you for braving the lion's den and showing up at the funeral. Sounds like your sister was ready to throw you to the wolves faster than you can say inheritance drama. And speaking of drama, that will read was like something straight out of a movie. Your sister and ex storming out like they just realized they left the oven on. Classic. But hey, looks like your daddy had your back in the end. That letter. Pure gold. It's like he dropped a truth bomb from beyond the grave, setting the record straight and giving you a little piece of closure in the process. And your brother sounds like he's got a backbone of steel, moving out for grad school and standing up to mommy and sis. That's some next-level sibling solidarity right there. Update 2. It's not over yet. Looks like her sister and ex got no chills, so she came back from her hometown after a week and found a notice in her mailbox. Her sister had challenged her dad's will in court, saying that there was a typing mistake by his lawyer. They were claiming that her dad had given her 50% of his assets, but the lawyer had made the mistake. She contacted her dad's lawyer and sent him the notice. He said they couldn't do anything about it because her dad had signed the will in his senses in front of the attorney and witnesses. Apart from that, her dad had mentioned the reason behind the division, so it was a no-brainer. He said that the judge was going to dismiss the case as soon as he read the will. That's what happened. The asset was divided as per the will. The case was closed. She thought they were done here, but no. Emotional manipulation was on the way. Her mom called her. She was crying over her dad's death. She said sorry for cutting her out of her life. After she was done shredding her tears, she asked her how she was doing at work and what was new in life. She said work was fine and so was life. Regular. She asked if she got the promotion since she had been working for so many years now. She got curious and asked why she wanted to know this. She said she was equally proud of her as her dad, that she was excelling in her career and doing so well for herself. She said, and her mom muttered, well, you know your sister couldn't complete school and got pregnant at a young age. She couldn't have a career like you, and she's pregnant again. They're surviving on just one source of income, so I was thinking, why don't you be a bigger person and give your share of the asset to her? Well, you can't deny that your dad was being unfair and giving her only 20% while you get double. She stopped her right there. First of all, it's not that she couldn't complete school. It's rather she didn't complete school and dropped out. And you still consider that Dad was unfair when Dad mentioned the reason for his asset division. I paid the mortgage for 2 years at the house in which you are living. It's not my problem that my sister is surviving on one income. She made that choice. She should have thought about her husband's income before skipping protection for the second child. And yeah, how could we forget about getting knocked up for the first one? Her mom lost her mind at this. She was mad that how could she even say these words in front of her? She was like, I just said your princess did all of this. Why did you lose your mind at her? But I see you're still coddling her like an infant. Her mom called her mean and jealous of her sister. She was having a family while she was still single, and that's why she was trying to hurt her financially because she couldn't beat her in any other aspect. She said, sure, whatever you think. I'm done reasoning with you folks. Guess you don't have enough brain to understand my point. Probably that's why you get better with your 6th-grader loser daughter. She hung up the phone, saying she was spitting poison and that she was still that vindictive witch that she was 2 years ago. Do you guys think she should give up her inheritance just because her sister is mindlessly expanding her family without financial planning? Looks like the circus tent's still standing, and the clowns are still juggling their drama balls. First off, kudos for holding your ground against the emotional manipulation brigade. Your sister dropping out of school and popping out babies like a Pez dispenser doesn't exactly qualify as a resume for the Fortune 500, does it? And Mom's little guilt trip, classic. Why don't you be the bigger person and hand over your share? Yeah, because nothing screams fairness like rewarding irresponsible life choices with a big fat inheritance check, right? But hey, let's not forget the real gem here. Jealous of your sister because she's married and you're single. That's like saying you're jealous of someone because they got food poisoning and you didn't. Talk about a messed up comparison. So, should you give up your inheritance? Heck no. You earned that fair and square. Your sister's financial misadventure shouldn't be your burden to bear. Stick to your guns, keep that inheritance, and let the circus continue without you. Update 3. Here's a new update. Almost a month after the last phone call with her mom one morning, she was leaving for work when she saw her car tires were being slashed. She thought her neighbor's child pulled this prank, so she hailed a taxi and went to work. Meanwhile, she called the car service company to get the tires fixed. They fixed it and sent her the pictures. However, when she came back in the evening, she saw the tires were slashed again and her car was painted piggy. She saw the other cars parked nearby, and all of them looked fine. It couldn't be a coincidence that the children were targeting her car unless she did something wrong with them. She didn't remember having any encounters with any children in the neighborhood. She went upstairs to find a note in her mailbox. Give me my share or else I'm going to make you suffer every day. She immediately called her lawyer and told him about the incident. He asked her to change the locks of her house, install a camera outside her apartment, and check the footage of the camera installed in the basement. She informed the chairman of the apartment and asked him for the camera footage. She reviewed it. She saw a woman wearing a long, oversized coat and a big hat entering the basement in the early hours of the morning. Unfortunately, nothing else got captured because the camera angle didn't cover the area where her car was parked. The same woman again entered the basement in the late afternoon, but there was a man with her, with his face fully covered. She knew it was her sister and her ex since she didn't have any concrete evidence against them. She couldn't report them. 2 days later, she came home to find someone had broken into her house through the window. It had to be her loser ex, because her pregnant sister couldn't climb on someone's window to break open hers. Nothing was stolen, but he brought down the house to ruins. The curtains were pulled down, the pillows were torn open, her clothes were cut down like confetti, and the china sets were broken into dust. She couldn't explain how terrible she felt. It wasn't about the money. Her house was insured, but you understand the hatred they had for her. This called for a police complaint. The cops came and made a note of everything. They asked if she doubted anyone. She told them about the car incident, the note in the mailbox, and her history with her sister regarding her inheritance. The odds worked slightly in her sister's favor because she was pregnant. It took a lot of effort and evidence to prove it was her, because the camera didn't capture her face. Based on the circumstantial evidence, like the note regarding the asset share and her presence in the town when this happened, their previous charges case of challenging her dad's will, everything put together built a case against her. However, the cops let her go with paying the fine and threatened her not to bother her again. She confessed that she was the one who did everything and not her husband. She did it because she was envious of her regarding her dad's unequal division of assets. And besides all that, she was hormonal, so she couldn't control her rage. She had to assure the cops in writing that she would never bother her again. She accepted it because she was tired of all this. She didn't have just this one thing in life. She had a career. She had a life. But she threatened that if this was repeated, she was going to go nuclear on her. Her brother told her that he heard her mom talking to her sister and telling her that she was smart and taking everything on herself because her husband would have incurred a heftier fine and maybe some prison time. Who knows? She couldn't believe they would do this to her. It hurt to think that she never did anything wrong to them, yet she was getting this kind of treatment. It made her wonder if there was any karma. If yes, then how do these kinds of people can escape that? Yikes. Nothing says justice served like a stern warning and a gentle tap on the wrist. As for karma, well, who knows? Maybe it's just taking a smoke break, sipping a cocktail on a beach somewhere, waiting for the right moment to come crashing down like a cosmic wrecking ball. In the meantime, keep your locks changed, your camera rolling, and your sense of humor intact. After all, when life hands you slashed tires and broken windows, sometimes all you can do is laugh, preferably while sipping a stiff drink and watching from a safe distance. What would you do? Give her some of your best advice in the comments below, and thank you for joining us today. Also, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon. Let's conclude the story shortly. In the end, she chose to move on, to build a life for herself, free from the toxicity of her family. She learned to prioritize her happiness and well-being, refusing to be dragged down by their drama. She found solace in her brother's support and the strength to stand up for herself. The inheritance, while a surprise, became a symbol of her father's silent approval of her choices. It was a reminder that she was worthy, even in the face of her family's disapproval. Her sister's actions, fueled by jealousy and a sense of entitlement, only solidified her decision to cut ties. The legal battle over the inheritance, while stressful, ultimately served as a final act of closure. It was a clear demonstration of how her family's values differed from her own. The story ends with her moving forward, stronger and wiser. She learned that family isn't always about blood, but about the people who choose to support and uplift you. She discovered the power of standing up for herself, choosing her path, and finding peace amidst the chaos. She may have lost her family, but she found herself, and that was a victory worth celebrating. After experiencing the full journey of our story, we'd love to hear your thoughts. How did the story resonate with you? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay blessed. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next story.